Some pretty comfortable temperatures. I know we're kind of bracing for some possible changes, so I know we'll be staying tuned to the forecast for that.
Yeah, tomorrow's severe weather threat, definitely late in the afternoon and evening. And we're going to get right into it with that warm front pushing north tonight. That's going to set the stage for these strong storms tomorrow. This front pushing north is going to usher in southerly winds, and that's going to bring in some warm, humid air. That warm, humid air will set the stage for likely at least one round of strong storms tomorrow. And it's the first batch that is likely going to be the strongest because it'll be able to tap into the most instability. The second line back here, a little questionable how much energy will be left over for it, but there could be two lines, with the first one kind of stealing all the thunder with all of the heavy rain, the gusty winds, and maybe even some small hail. The weather impacts tomorrow, I break it down in three ways here. Tornado risk is really confined to our northern counties. It's only a 2% probability. Hail risk also pretty elevated as you go north of Interstate 40, but notice the high wind risk, which is 58-mile-per-hour winds or higher. Those are gusts or sustained. That's what we consider severe criteria. So you see most of our area in the orange or the yellow. That's what's really driving a lot of the risk for severe storms tomorrow. If we go hour by hour on the futurecast, you see the low clouds tonight. Tomorrow, the key is how much sun do we get? If we start with low clouds and fog in the morning, that would slow down the destabilization of the atmosphere, which is the heating up of the atmosphere from the sunshine. The more sun we see, the more unstable the atmosphere gets. So you see around 5 o'clock, some broken lines of storms developing. Now, these lone storms are the ones you always worry about because they can kind of rob all the energy and produce the most severe weather. That line moves through basically between 5 and 7 p.m. right across the Charlotte area. So we'll have to watch that. It looks like a bow echo, which would be an indication of strong straight line winds. And then you see the second line around 9 o'clock trying to form, picking up some of the energy that wasn't worked over by the first storm. But that one kind of falls apart and then moves through between about 9 p.m. and 1 o'clock in the morning. And then things begin to dry out as northeast winds move in for Wednesday. That should set the stage for better weather. So the timing of all this tomorrow, first half of the day is okay. The middle of the day is fine. It's really the late afternoon, and I would really say the evening hours are the time frame. Let's say 3 o'clock and after would be the biggest concern. Damaging winds and hail likely going to be our biggest concern. The tornado risk, we'll keep an eye on it. Right now, it's not really elevated until you get closer to the Virginia border, but anytime you see severe storms like this, you got to keep an eye on that risk of those isolated supercells developing. That fuel for storms, you see it surging up here by 5 o'clock. Plenty of fuel for that first line. The second line probably won't have much left over. That's why I think the second line could be much weaker than our first line that moves through in the evening. Rotating updrafts, this is kind of where we look to see what storms will rotate. Couple of them look like they might have a little rotation here, but it's very, very low right now, which would be indication of just a strong storm and nothing other than that. Now, we need the rain. We're almost 1.5 inches behind average already for the year, for the month, I should say. But you can see the heavy rain in those individual cells. You could pick up a good inch and a half of rain. That's why localized flooding certainly is a possibility. And tomorrow will likely be the only rain we see over the next 5 days. You can see after tomorrow, it's a pretty dry period as we go into the next 5 days, but it could be cooler. Temperatures go from really warm tomorrow, mid-80s, to likely below average temperatures as we go into the upcoming weekend. So a hot, kind of humid day. Feels like a day where you might see some severe weather. Temperatures in the mid-80s. And again, those afternoon and evening storms. Your Guy Roofing 7-day forecast shows once those storms move out, we begin to dry out and cool off a little bit late this week. Going into the weekend, we're back up around 80 for the All-Star race. And then next week, there's those temperatures just a little bit below average in the upper 70s.